Latino dated a stripper and buried millions of dollars worth of silver in the desert. Then last September, Ted was found dead in his house. First, cops thought he died from a drug overdose, but now they say Ted was murdered. Investigators think this woman, Linda Carroll, might know who killed Ted, but after the murder, she took off. Linda Carroll, all the luck in Vegas won't help tonight. The manhunt starts right now.
It's Saturday, April 3rd, 1999. To date, your tips have led to the capture of 555 fugitives. Tonight on America's Most Wanted, America Fights Back. 30 years old with all the trappings of success, including a $360,000 Bentley. But did his success prove to be his own trap?
Whoa! What's going on, son? Ow!
We're having a robbery at my house.
When the cops move in, the bad guys move out.
The chase very quickly became high speed.
Did the bad guys go up in flames, or did they catch a lucky break? Also tonight, we were by the family's side after their loved ones disappeared on a trip to Yosemite.
Somebody has to be brought to task for what happened here.
Now we're with them for a bittersweet reunion and the hunt for a killer.
Good evening, America's Most Wanted.
Tonight, you can help us close the case. And a neighborhood under siege, drugs,
There's a guy rolling a joint.
prostitution,
Why are you working in our neighborhood?
and crime.
I bet he's got a gun.
One woman's fighting back with a camera,
We saw you buy drugs and you're on tape.
a paintbrush,
What size of brush you want?
and a lot of imagination.
We would turn the water hose on him. Nobody likes a wet hooker.
Tonight, she's taking back the streets because tonight, America's Most Wanted is where America fights back. Now, from our crime center in Washington, D.C., John Walsh.
Good evening. The couple you're about to meet had everything going for them. Christopher and Barbie Rawlings had 2 beautiful young kids and a dream house in Woodland Hills, California. Everything was going right. But on February 8th, Christopher took a simple nighttime trip to the supermarket. And on that night, everything went wrong. At about 9 p.m., Christopher was returning home. Just 30 years old, Christopher was already very wealthy, but he was also living over his head. He leased a $360,000 Bentley and lavished his wife and himself with tens of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. Police say his flashy lifestyle is what probably made him a target.
Mr. Rawlings had returned home from the grocery store, doing some shopping. He had gone to the into the garage with his car, opened the trunk to get the groceries out, and he was attacked by 2 masked bandits.
Whoa! What's going on, son? What do you guys want? Watch, wallet, now!
Mrs. Rawlings walked to the area where the garage is, looked inside, and saw these 2 masked men, and she knew that there was definitely a situation that occurred, and she had to take care of her kids. So she walked to the upstairs bedroom and called the police.
We're having a robbery at my house.
Where are they located in the house, do you know?
No, I have no idea.
What do you hear?
I walked out into the garage and I saw them with my husband. They followed my husband home from the grocery store. They're robbing my house right now.
Are you in a safe place?
I'm in the house with my 2 babies.
There was a struggle. The suspects had a roll of duct tape and a pair of handcuffs. They were also armed with handguns. They may have thrown him in the trunk of the car to better control him. The suspects made their way to one of the bedrooms and stole some jewelry.
Police say the thieves got out quick because they were listening to a police scanner. This is the actual dispatch call they would have heard.
1045 to John Mary Boy 186. 459 hot prowl at 20724 Cordado Drive. Suspect with 2 unknown males inside the residence.
Go, let's go!
The scanner was transmitting the police officer's arrival. The Bentley sped from the house eastbound, and the chase Very quickly, it became high speed.
The Bentley had crashed into another car. This is footage of the Bentley right after the crash. The Bentley had also hit a power pole, causing several city blocks to black out. The driver of the car the Bentley hit was lucky. He walked away. As for the suspects, the airbags saved their lives. They fled the scene on foot under the cover of darkness caused by the blackout. But Christopher Rawlings wasn't as lucky. When the Bentley finally stopped, the impact was so great the trunk opened. Christopher was ejected. He flew 40 feet through the air before his head struck this cinder block wall. He was killed.
The most important thing to him was family life, having a family, wanting to raise a family and have kids of his own and be able to settle down.
Christopher Rawlings left behind a young wife and 2 little girls. He also left behind a past that initially caught investigators off guard. Police soon learned that Christopher's men's clothing store was not the only source of his wealth. Police believe most of his money came from other sources, namely several telemarketing companies with dubious histories.
Christopher Rawlings was associated with a number of persons who were indicted here in the Central District of California. His partners were indicted because they defrauded investors of over $1.1 million.
But after investigating, police do not believe Christopher's death had anything to do with the alleged shady dealings of his partners. It was his wealth, not his past, that came back to haunt him. Now we have to find the people responsible. This is a composite of one of the suspects. After the accident, he committed a carjacking, but the car's owner was able to describe him. But as the Bentley burned, the second suspect disappeared into the night. We have no description of him. If you know anything about the death of Christopher Rawlings or the whereabouts of either suspect, call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Now here's one more clue, and it's one that could break this case wide open. A watch like this one was stolen from Christopher that night. It's a gold Rolex Presidential. This is an artist's rendition of exactly what Chris's watch looks like. Now, Chris had the wristband completely covered with diamonds, making it one of a kind. So it should be easy to spot if someone tries to pawn it. If you've seen this watch, please give us a call tonight. Now, our next case. Mac Buckley is a well-known attorney from Hartford, Connecticut, who's always up to something, defending notorious killers, training boxing champions, even running for Congress. So when he went missing, investigators knew they had a crime on their hands. Just weren't prepared for what kind of crime. Darlene McCarthy has the story.
Mac Buckley's charismatic lawyer. He had a way with juries that they liked him. In the courtroom, Mac would use street talk. He'd refer to his informant as a snitch. He would use terms that you wouldn't expect a polished lawyer to use, but he was a polished lawyer.
Yes, but not too polished.
You got a father-son who sat in jail because of their character and background. The judges wouldn't let him out.
He would fight for his clients no matter who they were. Mobsters and murderers such as Gaetano Milano, the killer of the mob boss William the Wild Guy Grosso.
I think he enjoyed defending as well. He enjoyed the fight.
Mac Buckley liked the fight so much, he took his skills into the boxing ring. He managed 2-time world champion Marlon Sterling and coached John Scully from the amateur ring to the professional spotlight.
As a professional, he got me started, and he promoted me as a young boxer, and he brought me up to contender status.
Buckley thrived on the spotlight.
Mac liked to associate with the best of the best, whether they were governors or whether they were reputed mob figures.
Buckley, by all accounts, was a regular family man. He lived in this farmhouse with his 5 daughters and wife of 30 years. But then he did something totally bizarre. He left for work one day and never returned.
The family had indicated to us that they had seen him on March 1st, that he had left home. All indications were that he was leaving for the federal courthouse in New Haven. We are aware that he had made some calls to his secretary around noontime, but that was the last time anyone had heard or seen him.
Police searched roadways and ditches, concerned for Buckley's well-being. They even wondered whether his mob ties had turned against him, but there wasn't a clue. People in Hartford were shocked over the disappearance of Mac Buckley. Some wondered if he had been killed or kidnapped or had suffered a serious accident. But after a few days, he was no longer called a missing person, but a federal fugitive.
We've got a complaint 7 days later on the 9th of March from a family who believes that Attorney Buckley embezzled approximately $150,000 of their money.
Was this possible? Could a man who fought to uphold the law actually be running from it?
If he is a fugitive, really a fugitive, he must have snapped. He could not have thought this out. Not the man that I know for 26 years. So he must have just lost it.
But more complaints have emerged about Buckley. Several people say thousands, as much as $1 million that Buckley was overseeing, have disappeared, just as mysteriously as Buckley did. Police are not charging him in connection with the money, but his clients are furious. The Ethics Committee has suspended his license. His name is no longer on his office door. And right now, there's no trace of Buckley or the money. Well, there was one sighting. Police say Buckley did turn up on March 5th in St. Agnes Cemetery in Menands, New York. But not as a resident, as a visitor. He asked a caretaker to show him his father's grave. The next day, the caretaker saw Buckley's picture in the paper and phoned police. But Buckley was long gone. Now police need your help to track down Mac Buckley. He was last seen driving this green 1998 Lincoln Navigator. If you know where Mac Buckley is tonight, call 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Up next, they struck it rich and headed to Florida for the time of their lives.
They loved life, and they made everybody else enjoy it.
But then she winds up dead.
She was found underneath this workbench in a white freezer.
And he's nowhere to be found.
There could be many motives. This is a very bizarre case.
Is he a suspect or a victim? Tonight, you'll get the clues to figure it out. And later, in the war on crime, Miss Pettis has a small problem.
There was a mailman on the ground with the prostitute. I had never seen mail be delivered like that.
Which she attacks with a big paintbrush.
We just want people to know what we have to live with and what we have to put up with all day long.
Don't mess with Miss Pettis, or she'll mess with you.
You stay out of our neighborhood, punk.
Police say 9-year-old Sarah Skiba, her father Paul Skiba, and one of his employees, Lorenzo Shivers, have been missing from Westminster, Colorado since February 7th. Police suspect foul play because blood and bullet shell casings were found at the lot where Paul Skiba parks his moving trucks. Police want to talk to anyone who saw this truck the night the three disappeared. Call us right now if you've seen Sarah Skiba, her father Paul, or Lorenzo Shivers.
Our next case takes us to Singer Island, Florida. It's a place more familiar with Mercedes and mansions than murder and mayhem. But a bizarre crime has the island's residents baffled. The body of a nude woman is found in a small freezer. Her husband disappears. So does her expensive jewelry. And police are trying to figure out whether the husband is a suspect or another victim.
There could be many motives. We're not zooming in on one motive. This is a very bizarre case. It's very strange.
Strange for this tight-knit upscale community, where there's been virtually no crime until now.
You know, we used to sleep with our doors open here now. Now we're scared. We're really scared.
And they're scared because something unexplainable has happened across the street in the home of their friendly neighbors. 42-year-old Chris Benedetto and his wife, 45-year-old Jeanette Pirro, two of the most popular people in town.
They loved life, and they made everybody else enjoy it, whether you wanted to or not sometimes.
Jeanette and Chris became the happy-go-lucky life of the party on Singer Island 3 years ago. Chris had been a carpenter in New York, but when he was severely injured on the job, he won a $2 million workers' compensation settlement. So the couple packed their bags and headed for early retirement on Florida's beautiful and ritzy Gold Coast. With their millions, they bought this house reportedly in cash. They also bought a 30-foot fishing boat, a garage full of expensive rods, and they kept a house stocked for parties with their friends.
We saw them every day. They were either at our house or we were at their house.
So on November 11th, when Chris and Jeanette didn't show for a well-planned birthday party, it seemed odd.
At first we're mad that they blew us off, and then we thought, well, maybe they just had to go get an errand, because, I mean, this was Jeanette and Chris' birthdays are very important to them, and you thought you were supposed to celebrate for an entire month. So they wouldn't just blow off her birthday.
But 3 days later, Chris's truck was found in the parking lot of a nearby hotel. Chris was nowhere to be found. Neither was Jeanette. Worried neighbors phoned New York, where Chris and Jeanette's relatives live.
We asked two of our brothers to go to Florida and to see if there was some way they could find out what, in fact, was happening with Chris and Jeanette.
Fearing the worst, Chris's brothers, who are police officers in New York, flew to Florida. That's where they searched for the missing couple.
There are times that I'm wishing for him to walk through this door so I can throw him and beat him, to be honest with you. Then there's times I'm saying, which is more realistic, the objective part is, this is not Chris. He's in trouble.
For 5 days, the brothers lived in Chris and Jeanette's house, slept in their beds, and ate in their kitchen. But then on the 5th day, they made a grisly, gruesome discovery. They immediately called police.
We'll walk out to the garage area where we found Jeanette. She was found underneath this workbench in a white freezer. She was inside.
They say Jeanette was killed and stuffed into a small freezer which was used for bait. The brothers were shocked beyond belief. They had lived for 5 days with their dead sister-in-law. And worse, their brother was a suspect. There was no sign of Chris. But then important clues began to surface. On the day of his disappearance, Chris's boat was seen leaving the dock at 8 a.m. It's unclear whether Chris came back alive.
A neighbor found the boat later on with the bait well running and also thousands of dollars worth of fishing equipment left on the boat. This is very unlike Christopher Benedetto to leave his boat or his fishing gear. It's very meticulous. It's possible somebody may have been on the boat with him and might have injured or done harm to Chris then.
Police are now focusing on the likelihood that Chris is not a suspect, but a victim. Those who know him say that must be the case.
He would never allow anything like this to happen to her.
Missing are several fishing rods from their home and $100,000 in jewelry. You can see some of it on this videotape that Jeanette recorded for insurance purposes. This is her 4-carat diamond ring worth $58,000 and a $12,000 diamond tennis bracelet. Both are missing and could be key clues. If you've seen this jewelry or know anything about Jeanette Pirro's murder or Chris Benedetto's whereabouts, call 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Up next, in the time it takes for me to read this, you took down a man wanted for child molestation, a suspected drug dealer, and 2 alleged murderers.
Mr. Wilkins, what do you have to say?
None. Meet the guys who went from 8 seconds of fame to our capture roundup of shame. Police in Battle Creek, Michigan say Darren Mills and 2 accomplices tried to rob the Kings Garden Health Spa, but the spa only had $5. Frustrated, they set the place on fire. 2 women died in the blaze. The accomplices were caught, but Mills is still a fugitive. Darren Mills goes by the nickname Bumper, and cops say his body is covered with tattoos. Call us if you know where he is.
So far, we've profiled more than 1,500 fugitives on this show. Some of them we've only been able to show you for a few seconds. But you've shown us that that's plenty of time for you to take them down. Now, here's our Kate Sullivan with 4 faces you recognized in record time.
John, it's amazing. None of these fugitives were on the air for more than 10 seconds. But our viewers are so sharp, they turned a few moments on TV into a lot of time behind bars.
Travis Wilkins, a.k.a. Travis Smith.
This is all we showed you on Travis Wilkins.
Murder in New Jersey.
The cops say Travis left one man dead and another man paralyzed. Cops in Plainfield, New Jersey were hoping you could find him, and you did.
After Travis was featured in America's Most Wanted, people in Plainfield, to my surprise, was saying, Travis is right there with us. It confirmed our belief that Travis is back in town.
Travis was not only back in his hometown, cops say he was hiding out in his girlfriend's house.
Mr. Wilkins, what do you have to say?
Nothing.
Were you involved in a narcotics ring?
No.
Do you know that there's a person that's paralyzed? Do you have anything to say about
Now, Travis will probably be spending the rest of his life behind bars. And that goes the same for David Scott Sheldon.
35 counts of child molestation. If you've seen him, call
This
1-800.
pervert was also a pizza delivery man, and you found him driving the highways of Pierce County, Washington. That's where he literally drove the tires off this stolen van as he led police on a high-speed chase. The chase ended at this gas station where Sheldon took 4 hostages. The dazed and confused Sheldon made no demands and remained extremely polite.
Believe it or not, he paid for the food that he ate in that store.
After a 5-hour standoff, the hostages were freed, and Sheldon was finally taken into custody. We told you about a dangerous trend that's sweeping the nightlife across the country. It's called Rohypnol, roofies. Men are slipping this drug into women's drinks in order to knock them out and rape them.
Now you can join the fight.
After the segment ran, we told you about Fernando Villar, wanted for the nationwide distribution of the drug. As soon as you got a look at his face, you told us exactly where to get him, in Oxnard, California. Villar tried to hide his identity by telling the cops he was someone else, but what he couldn't hide were his telltale tattoos. They made him a marked man. And we introduced you to some of the elite detectives of the San Francisco Police Department's Homicide Squad. We gave you a taste of what it would be like to walk in their shoes as they solve cases across the Bay Area. At the end of the story, they asked you to help catch one of their fugitives, Nathan Downs, a murder suspect who had eluded the Homicide Squad for months. You told them he was hiding across the bridge in Oakland, California. Within hours, Oakland police had him behind bars, and the detectives marked this case closed. Nathan Downs has been booked on charges of first-degree murder. His preliminary hearing is coming up later this month, and if he's convicted, he'll be looking at a lot of time in prison. John?
Thanks, Kate. Now, a case we've been spending an awful lot of time on. The tragedy near Yosemite National Park. Well, tonight we have the latest developments in this heartbreaking story. Investigators in Sonora, California are working tirelessly to hunt down the killers of Carol's son, her daughter Julie, and their friend Silvina Peloso. The 3 women were kidnapped and murdered during a sightseeing trip to Yosemite in February.
Good evening, America's Most Wanted.
After airing our segment last weekend, your tips have helped the FBI move a step closer to solving this heinous crime. But they still need your help.
We are all committed to resolving this crime and bringing those responsible to justice.
Right now, agents are focusing on a number of suspects in the case. The federal grand jury will meet next week to hear evidence. But again, no one has been named or charged. Meanwhile, it's been another emotional week for the victims' families. Silvina's older sister, Paula, flew in from Argentina to be with her mother, Raquel. Then they joined the Carringtons at the crime scene to remember Julie. Her body was found last week along a remote hillside overlooking Don Pedro Reservoir, just outside Modesto, California.
Julie was right down there where the opening is there, and there was brush on top.
Francis and Carol Carrington's 15-year-old granddaughter, Julie, was the last victim to be found. With the support of volunteers and investigators, they laid flowers and prayed.
we gather today, not understanding very much, but ready to deal with what we have to deal with from this point on.
Yes, it's the time to cry. This was a little harder than even the car. It's difficult, but I'm glad we came.
Julie's body was discovered off Highway 120. That's about 30 minutes from Highway 108, where her mother, Carol, and friend Sylvina were found 6 days earlier in their burned-out rental car. After more than a week in seclusion, Yen's son spoke publicly about his loss.
I just wrote the obituaries for Carol and Julie, and, you know, I don't think a father should have to write their daughter's obituary.
Then Sylvina's mother and sister traveled to Eureka to see Jens and collect her belongings. Raquel had never been to the son's house, a special place that had become a second home till Sylvina in her last months.
This is of the trip to Argentina. This is Sylvina with her grandfather.
Now, photographs are all they have as the Pelosos head home to Argentina.
It would have been nice to have a joyous reunion here instead of a farewell trip with her daughter's belongings.
If anyone has any information about the murders of Julie's son, her mother Carol, and their friend Sylvina Peloso, please call us immediately. Let's find justice for these families. Carol's father, Francis Carrington, is doing something very special for other families with missing person cases. He started a reward fund with $200,000 of his own money to help families who can't afford to put up rewards themselves. Now, if you'd like to add to that fund, you can send donations to the address on your screen. We're hoping this will help solve a lot of cases that otherwise would never be solved. And I'd like to say that everyone here at America's Most Wanted is praying for both of the families. Now stay with us. We'll be right back.
Up next, Bad Guys Beware. It's Candid Camera with a twist.
Mad now because he's got some whore in his truck. He saw you buy drugs and you're on tape. See you later.
And she's not even a cop.
He's trying to take off.
Find out what drives one mother to drive after criminals when we return. And later, sometimes breaking up isn't hard.
It's beautiful, but it's, I can't accept this.
It's impossible.
Excuse me? I'm buying you a bracelet? And you throw it in my face?
The question is, what happened to Juliet Rivera? Does an answering machine hold the answer?
I'm being kind of stressed out now. Have compassion. Give me a call.
Enter into your own home with the America's Most Wanted magazine. It's the magazine with a mission. You can help us find missing children, hunt down the AMW Top 10, and more. And if you order now, you'll get a free copy of One Tough Computer Cop. This CD-ROM program is a simple way for parents to protect their kids from predators and pedophiles on the internet. A one-year subscription is just $24.95. To order, call toll-free 1-877-AMW-GEAR. That's 1-877-269-4327.
When you live in a bad neighborhood and you see crime on the streets, your first instinct is to steer clear. But the woman you're about to meet got fed up. So she steered head-on into the criminals on her block and started her own unique brand of fighting back.
We saw you buy drugs and you're on tape. I bet he's got a gun.
We need a police.
She's white, she's dressed in a black dress. Okay, you need to hurry. What's that tag say? He's trying to take off.
The neighborhood of Brady Heights is giving Neighborhood Watch a whole new meaning. The neighborhood has become surrounded by a virtual no man's land of abandoned houses. But the people here are fighting back, and that fight is led by Cherokee Pettis. Subtlety is not one of her weapons.
Ooh-wee. It sure needs mixing. What size of brush you want to use? You want a big one or a small one? Small.
When an alleged crack dealer moved near her, she wasted no time in letting everyone know it.
These aren't smart people we're dealing with. We just want people to know as they drive by that this is what we have to live with and what we have to put up with every day, all day long.
When she found hookers working the corner in front of her house...
And they wouldn't leave, and so we would turn the water hose on them. Nobody likes a wet hooker.
And when the city wasn't moving fast enough to prevent crime in her neighborhood... She organized her own public statement that Brady Heights residents weren't going to take it anymore.
Can't even ride their bikes on the sidewalk. People stopping me and, hey, little girl, come here. It's ridiculous. Yeah. If the kids would play in the yard, we'd have to comb the yard before they could play. You know, we'd find hypodermic needles, use condoms, disposable douche bottles, soiled underwear, all different types of things.
It's not that prostitution is new to the area, it's just out of control.
Our dog alerted us to a vacant house next door, and so I went out to investigate, and there was the mailman on the ground with the prostitute. It was during the day, and I was shocked. I had never seen anything like that. Her feet were up in the air. It was obvious what they were doing. I had never seen mail be delivered like that.
Her fight against crime drew attention to the neighborhood, but it wasn't enough. She and her friend Jan Edwards decided it was time to move the battle to phase 2. To run off the hookers, they would go after the clientele.
When a John gets caught in our neighborhood, I go down to municipal court and I get a look on the docket and I get a printout. And then we will send a postcard to that person. And on the back it lists their name and the violation and the date, and also lists when their next court date is. He hears from us at his work and at his home.
Embarrassing the Johns was effective, but it wasn't enough. It was time for phase 3. Now when she sees a problem, she grabs her cameras to photograph the criminals and chase them out of the neighborhood. Sometimes it takes a lot of sitting and waiting, and sometimes it's quite a ride.
White guy with glasses. He's mad now because he's got some whore in his truck. Uh-huh. You stay out of our neighborhood, punk. Yeah, you are. Did you see his eyes? He's high. He's high right now. We saw you buy drugs and you're on tape. See you later. We're going to take pictures. We're going to report them. We're going to prosecute. We're going to follow through. We're willing to do what we have to do to save our neighborhood, save our kids, and save our property. And we're tired of it. We've had to deal with it for years, some people decades, and this is it.
Cherokee's battle is a war of confrontation, in the dark and in the light of day.
Shut the hell up. There's a guy standing down here in the corner rolling a joint, and I'm taping him. Got one up in his hat, walking, licking it, rolling the paper. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you working in our neighborhood? I'm not working. Yeah, you are.
Let me get from down here, because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want no trouble.
All right.
I've had people to come up to me and tell me that Cherokee's nosy, she's a prostitute, she's a policeman, she's a narc, and all that. And I said, go away. I'm glad she's here. I'm happy she's here, because it makes it better for us. So if you don't like it, you move out. We are homeowners here. You go away.
And so as another night falls, Cherokee proves once again that neighbors working together can make their neighborhood safer.
Okay, kid, let's see what we can find.
Way to go, Cherokee. Now, there's a little girl who desperately needs our help tonight, so please pay close attention to this missing child alert. Police in Saginaw, Texas need your help tonight. They say 6-year-old Opal Jennings was snatched by a stranger while she was playing in her front yard on March 26th. Opal's abductor has been described as a white or Hispanic male with dark hair with a ponytail. He was wearing a red baseball cap and might be driving a dark car with primer spots and tinted windows. Please call us if you know anything about this case. Let's find Opal Jennings tonight.
Coming up next.
Something just doesn't ring true about him. You know, he's got all these weird stories.
A lady vanishes.
I definitely knew that something terrible had happened, that something was very wrong.
And police say when he disappeared, he took the only clue with him.
1997. He may be working as a nurse. If you've seen Nathan Brown, call us now. Spring of 1992, San Francisco's Bay Area. Gregory Mark Riviera had a mysterious past and a winning streak on the singles scene.
To the area. Then I was a Marine in Vietnam. Well, that's just something I'd rather forget. I took a shot in the back. But anyway, I got my MBA at UCLA, and then I opened my investment firm in New York. Thank you. Cheers. So my mom was a Hawaiian princess. She died in a plane crash. So it's just me and my dad now. And, Vietnam, Green Beret, a little shrapnel wound in my lower back. It only hurts when I see a pretty woman. Ow. Anyway, so I got my MBA from Stanford, and then I started my own computer company down in LA. Yeah, it's great. So, you know, my family's bloodline goes way back. They go back to the last Hawaiian royal family. And my mom and I were real close.
He was just a really fun guy and laughed a lot, and so you wouldn't have thought that he was lying to you because he was so nice, just a regular guy. He liked to go to fine restaurants, and so he'd take me out a lot, buy me jewelry for no reason at all.
Thanks. Food, it's a celebration of life, don't you think?
Yes. We dated for 5.5 years.
To remember tonight.
Love Gregory. That's sweet.
The reason we ended up breaking up was because I found out that he had been lying to me about a lot of different things.
After the breakup, Gregory Mark Riviera's self-image wasn't shattered. In fact, his image never even reflected reality. Riviera really worked as a warehouse foreman. His transportation, a company truck. May 20th, 1992, Riviera was at an Alameda pub when he spotted a young woman having dinner alone. Juliet Rivera loved the Bay Area. Craving a fresh start, she'd moved there 2 years earlier and now called Alameda home. She worked as a legal secretary and took classes at San Francisco Community College.
Juliet was very bright. She had an incredible amount of potential. She was very likable. She was funny. There was just a sort of a sparkle about her that really drew you to her and made her very likable.
Oh, please, let me take care of that. Here you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lovely smile you have.
Listen, I don't even know you.
Oh, we can fix that. Hi, I'm Gregory Rivera. Come on, don't bite. It's nice to meet you. You know what I did? I sold my business today. Looks like a little extra cash. Come on, let me buy you a drink. What do you think?
Greg does attract women with his stories, and he is impressive, and he is very good looking. And the mystery is kind of a draw to you.
Yeah, you really are.
Riviera tried to worm his way into Juliet's life, but Juliet was dating other people. To her, Riviera was only a casual relationship. They dated off and on for the next 2 months, but eventually the wannabe Romeo didn't want to share his Juliet with anyone.
A little something for you.
It's beautiful, but it's, I can't accept this. It's too much. See, I'm not ready for a serious relationship. I'm sorry, Greg.
Excuse me? I bring you to dinner? I buy you a bracelet? And you throw it in my face?
Listen, I just sort of broke up with someone. Okay, it's just not the right time for me to start seeing someone else. Okay?
She and I talked about a lot of different things in her life. She'd come to me and she'd talk to me about her problems. In some ways I felt like her sister, and in some ways I felt like her mom.
Juliet, sit down for a minute. How's it going? So-so. I've been seeing this new guy.
You don't sound very enthusiastic.
Well, he says he's 38, and I almost believe him, but something just doesn't ring true about him. You know, he's got all these weird stories.
Don't they all?
Seeing through Riviera's tall tales, Juliet told Riviera it was over.
We'll just be friends. How's that?
Police say Riviera couldn't take no for an answer and was spotted lurking outside Juliet's home, watching her every move. July 6, 1992. Police say Riviera called Juliet with one last desperate lie.
Oh, I'm so sorry about your father. You're so sudden.
I just don't know if I should go to the funeral.
Of course you should go to the funeral. We only get one father.
I don't know what to do. I don't have anybody. Be my friend. That's all. You said you wanted to be my friend.
I know, but
My father and I. There's so many things we never said to each other. I need somebody to talk to, that's all. Look, we'll take a drive to the beach. I'll never ask you anything else.
Okay. But just for an hour.
Witnesses that night remember seeing the couple at a bar more than 70 miles away from Alameda.
The following morning, Juliet's supposed to be to work at 8:30 in the morning, and at 8:30 she wasn't here, and at 9 o'clock she wasn't here, and we had not heard from her.
She'd never leave her watch and ring like that. She wore them day and night.
Carmen alerted Alameda police. They immediately launched a search.
Let's see who last called her.
These are the actual messages Riviera left Juliet before and after her disappearance.
I'm being kind of stressed out now. So if you feel in your heart to call me and have compassion, give me a call. Bye.
Hi, Juliet. This is Gregor Mark. Hey, listen, when you borrowed the truck, I'd appreciate if you bring it back. Because, you know, it makes me wonder whether or not I should lend you the truck anymore.
I knew something was wrong, and I left a note on her door saying, I don't care what time you get home, call me. And the next morning, on my way to work, I drove back by the apartment, and the note was still there exactly where I'd left it. And I knew then. I had a feeling before then, but I definitely knew then that that something terrible had happened, that something was very wrong.
Detectives questioned Riviera. As he spun a web of lies, police realized he was now their prime suspect.
She is. Okay, look, I loaned her my truck, you know, to do some shopping, and she didn't even bring it back. I mean, I had to pick it up myself.
Well, what was your relationship with Juliet Rivera?
And just casual, nothing serious, all right? Look, Lieutenant, I can't answer any more questions, all right, until I talk to her later. All right, thank you.
July 17th, 1992, Juliet's body was discovered in an irrigation pond on the California coast. Police immediately questioned Riviera.
We attempted to talk to him at his apartment. He was polite, let us in. Again, no sign of remorse or real concern about the fact that she had been found. We did not have the warrant yet. The next morning, he called me, said, I hope to come see you in a day or so. And he jokingly said, if you want to watch my apartment, I'm not going anywhere. And that was the last we ever saw of him.
Riviera claims to be of royal Hawaiian blood, but he's actually from Puerto Rico. Riviera's a great cook, but also likes to dine out in expensive restaurants. He always pays with cash, flashing a wad of bills. Riviera hides his true age with exercise, frequent facials, and black hair dye. But hopefully he won't be able to hide from the law any longer. If you've seen Gregory Mark Riviera, call our hotline at 1-800-TIME-TV. Now, here's a quick review of tonight's cases. Las Vegas police say Linda Carroll may have information on the murder of Ted Binion. This is one of the suspects in the death of Christopher Rawlings in Los Angeles. Connecticut attorney Mac Buckley is wanted for forgery and embezzlement. Police in Colorado suspect foul play in the disappearance of Paul Skiba, his 9-year-old daughter Sarah, and one of his employees, Lorenzo Shivers. Detectives in Florida are looking for whoever killed Jeanette Pirro. They fear her missing husband, Chris Benedetto, may have also been a victim. Darren Mills is wanted in Battle Creek, Michigan, for setting a fire that killed 2 people. Investigators in Northern California are looking for information in the murders of Carol's son, her daughter Julie, and family friend Silvina Peloso. 6-year-old Opal Jennings was abducted from her home in Saginaw, Texas last week. And Gregory Riviera is wanted for the 1992 murder of his ex-girlfriend in Alameda, California. I'm John Walsh. Thanks a lot for watching. And remember,